thesis, Do You See What I See, explores the health effect of employment for KAAJAL immigrant refugee women in Grand-Erie. There are some pieces out there that you can see, and I want to first thank Laurier, my colleague here, who helped me bring this and really helped with the knowledge translation. But I also want to thank the incredible women participants without whom this study would not be possible. Grand-Erie Canada, Ontario Women's Health Scholarship, Primary Healthcare Scholarship, and a number of community partners. So where is Grand-Erie? Grand-Erie is about, it took us 2 hours and 15 minutes to get here today, but it's generally an hour and a half, right? It's an urban rural region in Ontario that is now experiencing increased migration from KAAJAL population, and I'll get to who the KAAJAL population is. This study is built on my Master of Social Work study with new immigrants, which was built on my Bachelor of Arts studies. I'm a community-based researcher, and all my studies have been community-based, and they're done in coordination with a local immigrant task force called ISTEP. The ISTEP's vision is to foster newcomer integration. So what was the research question? The research question was, how do employment experiences impact the health and well-being of immigrant refugee KAAJAL women in Grand-Erie? So who are these KAAJAL women? While acknowledging that labels are very political and that we can't escape from labels, the acronym KAAJAL emerged in my conversations with the participants, and myself being a visible minority new immigrant to Canada. I'm no longer a new immigrant. I've lived as many years in Canada as I've lived in India now. So we know that under the Employment Equity Act, visible minority is defined as that group over there, non-Indigenous, non-Caucasian. What I have done is taken that group and put it under KAAJAL. So if you ask me why do I have Korea and Asia separate, if you look at the visible minority, that's what Stats Canada has it. I didn't do that. So that's why it's separate. KAAJAL in India means an eyeliner. And it further beautifies the person, man or woman, wearing KAAJAL. I will be very careful here. So in my conversation with the women and myself being an immigrant person, what they wanted to do was give diversity a positive image. So they felt that they brought their culture, their language, their education, and they further beautified the beautiful Canada. And so I'm going to be referring to KAAJAL instead of visible minority. Also, women felt that they were racialized, but they have never accepted their racialization passively. They were active resistant to their racialization. So racialized women is a common term that's synonymously used with visible minority. So research design is community-based participatory. I'm a social activist. I like my research goal is social justice and equity principles to reach policymakers and bring women's voices from the periphery to the center of the immigration conversation. I use Photovoice. I brought 5 pieces out of 21 pieces that are there. I gave women cameras to record their employment and health experiences. I hired a photographer, a community-based photographer. We gave them her an honorarium. They trained the women in loading and downloading the photographs. And so if you want to know more about Photovoice, we can talk about that later. So in 400 pages of transcribed interviews, focus groups, and 525 participant-generated photographs were analyzed using constructivist grounded theory, which is good for exploring something that very little is known about. I only found 2 studies on this population on work and health in the 1990s to 1999. Some reason in the 1990s it was done. There are a few more studies, but very few. Actually, I found none in the rural areas of this population. I use intersectionality lens in which 2 or more markers are different and shows how they intersect to shape people's experiences. So the sample were 20 women participated, 17 photo voice, 3 interviews. Most of them were relatively between the ages of 35 to 44. One of the inclusion criteria was they must have worked in Grand-Erie because I was interested in local data rather than most of the data is being in MTV, what we call MTV, Montreal, Toronto, and Vancouver. So what are my findings? Let me tell you that in a form of a story. Women came to Canada, what we talked about imagination here, imagining a beautiful life. These are all the photographs of women taken by themselves, and the names are their pseudonyms that they selected. So whether they came through family class or refugees or visitor visa, they came for a better life. However, their expectations did not meet their pre-migration expectations did not meet their post-migration reality. Among all the others barriers, Canadian experience was a huge barrier. So here's the picture done by Alice, who says, wherever I go, I'm asked about Canadian experience. Now, this is Canadian experience in volunteering is that we encourage immigrants to volunteer. However, the study data shows that they're not volunteering in jobs that really help them find the jobs that they're looking for. So you have a doctor who is doing, as a registration in a YMCA center. How is that going to help that doctor gain that experience? As a result, they were de-skilled. Many of the women felt they were trapped. I feel like a fish trapped in a small bowl, although I want to swim the ocean. We have to recognize, and a number of families have said, women are highly educated. However, when they're coming here, they're de-skilled, their foreign credentials, their human potential is not recognized. Among the main barriers to settlement, there was a clear indication in the rural areas of Halton and Norfolk between gender, geography, and immigration status. So we have no transportation going between Halton, Norfolk, and Brantford. The women, according to culturally, the men go out and get the license, women are left without a license. They are left with childcare, and these are highly educated women. Most of the jobs are in the city of Brantford or in Toronto, so women are trapped, unable to really easily transition into workforce. Here's a clear intersection of immigration status. She came under a visitor visa, took a few years to get her landed immigrant status. Until then, somebody talked about the school system. Her kid was not, enrolled into the school because of not having papers. So here's the immigration law forbidding her to get trained. Being racialized was a very common theme among all of the women. Very interesting picture of the outhouse. So we have, and many of the panelists have talked about, we have very skilled labor coming to do unskilled labor, which a lot of Canadians don't want to do. However, she's saying, I'm like this outhouse. I will never be given an opportunity for full integration. So work, health, and family. So let's go back to the research question. The research question and the purpose of the study was to understand the relationship between work and health. What I found was that work, and meaningful work, not just any work, and meaningful work was defined as work that women enjoyed doing, something, not necessarily work that they were doing back home, but something that they could transfer their skills in, positively impacted their life, their health and well-being. We have very few studies on de-skilling, a couple of studies. We have a lot of data on de-skilling, but we don't have relationship between de-skilling and health. We have a lot of data on health, we have a lot of data on de-skilling. I think we need to have more research about de-skilling and health. Clear evidence of de-skilling and health that they negatively impacted their health. Women felt they were disengaged at work. So here's a clear indication of evident healthy immigrant effect. And one of the panelists spoke about healthy immigrant effect. So let the pictures speak for themselves. But I do want to point out that the women, despite the barriers, were highly resilient. So the last theme was, why did they stay? Mainly for the sake of their children. They felt that the children had a better life here. When they decided to stay, they started at the bottom, one step at a time. All the women retrained. So to conclude, what is the implications? Biggest implication here is bringing employer into the diversity conversation. In rural areas, employers are not even aware of the integration policies. And if the Conference Board of Canada has a number of studies stating that employers are spending a lot of time on cost-profit ratio, but very little on how discrimination impacts the health, how disengagement impacts the health. So this is my last slide. To conclude, we know that integration is a two-way street. It requires accommodation from the host community as well as accommodation from the immigrants. So what is their main message? I think we have to really understand our workforce, because 52% of immigrants coming to Canada are women now. So migration is no longer a male phenomenon. So I'm going to leave you with this question of the participants. One of the clear message I asked them they wanted to give audience was, let's work together. And the question was, do you see what they see?